LEIGHTDICKEY.com. What's going on, everybody? LEIGHTDICKEY here. Welcome back to another episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Now, before I get into the body of today's episode, which will be all about growing out your facial hair or having facial hair, something which that I have never done before, at least much of it, I want to tell you where to find the Beats and Speaks podcast. You can find the Beats and Speaks podcast on my website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. It's available everywhere. So if you have a podcast app, it is available there. And the Beats and Speaks podcast is sort of a general entertainment, general interest, sort of audio biography show by yours truly, Leigh Dickey. Now that is out of the way, and before I forget, new episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast are available every Friday at midnight Eastern time. Okay, so now that all the particulars and all the important stuff is out of the way, let's get into the body of today's episode, or this week's episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast, which is about growing out your facial hair and or having facial hair, or the fact that I have legitimately never had facial hair, and I'm actually growing it out for the first time. So yes, I'm actually growing out my facial hair for the very first time. I'm becoming bearded, if you will. I am joining the ranks of the bearded. Now, it's not that I didn't want a beard, but I figured, when I started working in, media, like radio and television and things like that, beards were sort of frowned upon. Like, you had to always be clean shaven. Like, when you're working in media and things like that, you never know if you're going to be able to, if you're ever going to be on camera. So I kept it relatively short. And plus, I don't think my superiors or, the people directly above me were all that keen on somebody having facial hair, mainly me, because they were always like, "Hey, what's this?" They'd come up to me and just, I had a mustache at one point when I started. I had a mustache and I wore a soul patch. And I was like, you know what? If it'll save me grief, I will just shave it, whenever the hair gets to be long enough. That way I don't have to deal with it. So I kept it relatively short, or I shaved it off for a number of years. And then I got to I turned 30 earlier this year, and I suppose I had another epiphany where it was like, you know what? I didn't do something I'd never done before. And that's, I suppose, starting this year, starting in this decade. It's a decade and a year of me trying to do things that I have actually never done before. So I figured, you know what? Why don't I start growing out my beard or growing my facial hair? And as of recording, today is Thursday, August 22nd, and it's about 11:10 in the evening. So to be quite honest with you, this week's episode may be a bit late, but it's 11:10 on Thursday, August 22nd, as of the recording, and I haven't shaved since August 10th. So we're about 11 days in, and yes, it's still itchy. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. It's well on its way to growing. I want to at least not shave for a month. Granted, the area around my neck is really, really itchy. I find myself reaching down there to just scratch, to get rid of the irritation. But, like I've said, I've worn a mustache in the past and a soul patch, and that's just the extent of the facial hair that I would wear. There was a period of time where I didn't shave for about 6 or 8 weeks, and that's all I would keep, or shave my mustache or soul patch for about 6 or 8 weeks, and that's about as much as I would keep. But I'm going to try and not shave for at least 4 weeks. We're almost 2 weeks in, just about. Today is day 11 of me not shaving, and we're getting towards the end of that. So I'm going to try at least not shave for 4 weeks, the whole thing. I might push it to about 6 or 8 weeks. and see what happens. I mean, I've never had this much facial hair ever. Never had like a beard or anything. I've worn facial hair, but it's never been like this full on beard, like lumberjack sort of burly paper towel kind of thing. And the funny thing is, I've gotten people are, there's, I guess you could say, supportive, but they're surprised. They're like, "Oh, you're growing a beard." Like, yep. It's usually what that is. It's growing out of your face. I mean, I would say I just planted grass seed, but that's the testosterone taking over and the facial hair is coming in and what have you. So the people are surprised, I guess. They're like, "Oh, you're growing it in." Yep. That's why it looks a bit straggly at the minute. And I'm always surprised that, like, I was just walking in my local neighborhood the other day and saw an older guy, like an older gentleman. He's probably in about, I'd say his 50s or something, late 40s, early 50s. And he had a beard down to just past his t-shirt collar, so right past his shirt collar. And I thought, holy cow, this guy's, giving Santa Claus a run for his money. That beard was huge. But, like, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, whether I look like a lumberjack at the end of this process. And when I decide to shave again, I don't know. But I'm not trying to give Santa Claus a run for his money. I just want to see what it looks like. And most people are like, hey, it's going to look good. And my mom's excited because she's been on me for years to just let it grow. Because normally I would shave every couple days. So if I shaved on, say, Monday, I'd shave, to cut the hair out or to basically remove the hair and keep the clean shaven look. If I shaved on Monday, I'd leave Tuesday and then shave again Wednesday, right? Because that's about as long as I would have to wait for the hair to become long enough so I could shave it again. And I suppose, like, this is just something I wanted to try, something I wanted to do. It was nobody put me up to it. I just was like, you know what? Why don't I just try it and see what happens? And I'm happy with it. I'm not complaining. It's just something that I guess will take some getting used to because I haven't shaved for 11 days as of this recording. And it's itchy, yes. I mean, it is coming in. It's coming in spots, but it's coming in all together. I'm sure if I don't shave for about at least 4 weeks, maybe even closer to 6, 8, maybe 10. I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe I'll get the full beard. Like, I can start to feel, like, I know my sideburns are starting to come in and they're starting to connect to the full beard. And, like, obviously the hair on my cheeks is starting to go everywhere. But I've kind of got a mini goatee going now, in conjunction with the soul patch is back in, the mustache is back in. The mustache takes about, I don't know, 7 to 9 days to come back in fully. So who knows? I might just keep the goatee, but I want to keep going and see where this goes. And basically to see where I want to stop, I might let it go, like I said, 6, 8, maybe 10 weeks, but at least 4, just to see where I can go and where it'll end up. And honestly, like I was talking to one of my best friends who has a handlebar mustache and a bit of a soul patch and goatee, and he's just like, all you have to do to basically maintain it is to shampoo and conditioner it like you would your hair. I was like, oh, well, okay. Which, I'm thankful for any advice that I get, whether it be from him or anyone else that has an immense amount of facial hair and has no problem growing facial hair. But this is just something I wanted to do. And another thing, like, people will come up to me or like people that know me will come up to me, or people will leave comments on either like photos that I post of me with the facial hair now. And they're like, you look like a real man now. It's like, well, this is kind of awkward because what have I been doing the past 30 years? I almost feel like I've been wearing a Halloween costume every day for 30 years. If you're like, he's got facial hair now, he's a real man. This is kind of awkward, kind of strange. But I suppose I could say this is fun, but I enjoy the fact that I'm letting my facial hair come in now. And it's actually really, really cool. I enjoy the fact that it's coming in. Now, granted, yes, it is itchy because we're in the beginning stages, and I really, like, I don't know anything about it other than, okay, well, the hairs have to poke through, they have to come in, and it's just something I have to get used to. But I mean, like, what can I say? It's facial hair. I've wanted to try it. I haven't shaved for 11 days, and I'm gonna try and keep going as long as I can. As far as I know, this is probably gonna be about at least a 4-week process. Like I said, I'll try to push it to 6, 8, 10, maybe 12 weeks. I don't know. Again, this is just, we're taking it day by day. Would anybody recommend, like, what sort of beard oils or, yeah, I'd say beard oils or facial hair treatments or maintenance packages or what have you, would you recommend? Leave me comments, let me know, send me messages, things like that. Reach out to me on social media. Links will be in the show notes and in the description of this week's episode. But and every episode. So if you can do that, that would be greatly appreciated. But if you wanted to follow me on social media, all those links will be below. If you wanted to send me an email or what have you, it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you right now that I'm enjoying this process. I'm realizing that, like, since I haven't shaved for 11 days, the fact that I haven't picked up a razor is actually quite nice. You know, and that was one of the things that I had to get used to, was not picking up a razor. Like, I use Bic disposables, the Bic the Flex 3, and I actually like those Bic razors. They're actually really nice and really comfortable for my face, because I'd shave against the grain usually just to get the closest shave I could. But it's actually quite nice not to have to pick up a razor. I was pleasantly, it took a couple of days of, like 3-4 days of me not having to pick up a razor, or choosing not to pick up a razor. It was kind of, okay, this is where we are now. I'm letting it grow in. I just kind of made up my mind and said, look, I'm going to let it grow in, and that's going to be it, and we're just going to see where it goes. If you have a massive amount of facial hair, I'm curious to know what was the trigger for you where you're like, I'm going to let it grow in, I'm going to keep this look. Or if you haven't grown your facial hair out and you're clean shaven like all day, every day, kudos to you. But let me know why you haven't, or even if you'd like to, and we can go on this sort of journey together. But if you want to see, like, the progress pictures, you can follow me on social media at LEIGHTDICKEY. I post those photos on, like, Instagram all the time. You can find me on Facebook. You can go to my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, and you'll get the pictures there. But this is the growing my facial hair out. It was just a spur of the moment decision. I just kind of figured, what would it be like if I just didn't shave for a while? I mean, if I could grow a mustache and soul patch and not shave for 6 weeks and have them come in pretty fully, that's cool. As I said, we're on day 11, and my goal is to at least get to 4 weeks, maybe push it to as much as 10 to 12. I'm not sure. I'll just play it by ear and see what happens. But that's what I've been doing the past, say, couple weeks almost, is just letting my hair, or my facial hair, grow in conjunction with the hair on top of my head. Needless to say, I need to get a haircut too, so I need to get a hold of my barber, my hairstylist, and say, yeah, time to take the lawnmower to my head and have fun. Just take your hedge clippers and let's have at it. But I'm actually enjoying the process. Here we are 11 days in. It did take some getting used to. I'm not complaining about it, like, other than the process of letting my facial hair grow out. But I can see the goatee starting to form. The area around my neck is really itchy, not gonna lie. I do reach down there. But this has been my experience mainly. I suppose that happens to everybody when they're letting their facial hair grow out for the first time. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know why I waited not till now. I mean, I'm 30 years. I don't know why I waited till I was 30 to let my facial hair grow out. It just kind of doesn't make sense. But, I guess better late than never. I'd much rather be late to the party than not show up. And it was just something that I wanted to do, something that I wanted to experience for myself. Um, People, some of them are like, oh, you're growing it out. Yeah. Others are, when you look like a real man, as I said, and it's just kind of awkward when they say that, because, like, let's be honest, what role have I been playing and growing into for the past 30 years? This is kind of weird now. If you think that because I'm growing out my hair, my facial hair, I look like a real man, I mean, what did I look like to you before? Just kind of really, really strange. But, I mean, there you have it. I'm growing out my facial hair. I'm having fun with it. If you guys have any recommendations in terms of like maintenance and beard oils and anything that would help like my facial hair, or anything that would help with sort of like the itchiness and the irritation and what have you, leave those in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Links in the show notes. But if you have any sort of recommendations, or if you've never grown out your facial hair, share that story with you, or with us, the listeners, with me. That would be cool. That would be greatly appreciated. If you guys just want to have a discussion on, if you have your facial hair, like what you do to groom it and maintain it and things like that. I know that like one of my good buddies has basically, he's given me like tips, and he's always been some guy that I can always go to for advice, because he's much smarter than I, and I am the average bear. He's just the above average bear. Call me Boo Boo to his yogi, if you will. But he's always somebody that I can go to, which is really cool. I mean, he's got a handlebar and a goatee and a soul patch all connected, and he looks really, really cool with it. But the funny thing about that is, my mom knows this guy too, so shout out to my buddy Richie, by the way, and his brother Ronnie. They both look fantastic with facial hair, even though they're both bald on top, but, with the facial hair, they look fantastic. And to anybody that says they look like real men because they have facial hair, it's like, that's really weird. Honestly, like, you're gonna constantly say that somebody looks like a real man because they have facial hair, or they have hair in places that men should have hair. It's just like, what have they been doing for their entire lives at that point? What role have they been growing into if they weren't men before? Like, they had hair in places that someone would constitute as manly. That's just, I don't know. I don't get it. To be honest, it makes no sense to me. But if that's the endearing compliment that they want to lay on someone like me or anyone else, go for it. Good on you. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. Someone's opinion, like, if you like the fact that I'm growing a beard or growing my facial hair, good for you. If you like the fact that I'm growing my hair in general, great. But like I said, I'm probably gonna book an appointment with my barber to get a cut, because it's getting a little out of control. But in terms of the facial hair, I will at least wait 4 weeks. Again, we're almost at 2 full weeks in general. So I will at least wait another 2 weeks. I will try to push it to 12, I think, as long as I can. But, I mean, I'm having fun with it. What has your experience been like growing facial hair? If you did that, if you rock any sort of facial hair, let me know. Any sort of treatments or maintenance, that would be greatly appreciated too. If you just want to, enjoy the episode for what it was and what it is, that's cool too. Thank you for listening, but please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Leave your recommendations in terms of like conditioners, oils, and sort of like shampoos and stuff like that, or whatever else comes along with maintaining facial hair, because I have no idea. I've never had to do this before. I am a complete rookie in the facial hair game, aside from like growing a mustache and a soul patch about 10 years ago, and then keeping it for, say, like a year and a bit, or even, well, maybe not even that. I probably just kept it until like the spring of that year, and then shaved it off again, and then kept the soul patch for a year. And then, when I got more ingrained into TV, they kept sort of looking at it, and they were just like, what's this? This soul patch. Why do you have it? I don't know. I wanted to wear it. Should probably get rid of that. Okay, well, fine. And then I got rid of it and basically never wore facial hair until now. So you're looking at about an 8-year stretch where I didn't have facial hair. But now that I'm letting it grow in, I'm looking forward to the end result. Of course, it's gonna take some time, being that we're just short of 2 weeks, and I'm gonna wait as long as I can. To be quite honest with you, I cannot wait to shave the area around my neck, because it's like that is the most irritated, the itchiest part, if you will. So I cannot wait to shave that. But I'm patient enough to wait and see where the end result will go. As you know, if I wait up to I say at maximum I want to make it to about 12 weeks. I might shave it before then. I don't know. But I'm enjoying this process so far, aside from the itchiness. But what has your experience with facial hair been like? Did you decide to grow it? When did you decide to grow it? Why did you decide to grow it? If you don't have facial hair and you just don't want it, that's cool too. But if you want to, just enjoy the episode for what it is. Thanks for that, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Of course, I am your host, creator, and producer, and all-around creative genius in terms of the Beats and Speaks podcast, Leigh Dickey. Thank you again. You can visit my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com. You can get this podcast on my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are available. So your favorite podcast app, if you've got one, it's there, I promise. New episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast come out every Friday at midnight Eastern time, and you can subscribe to Leigh Dickey, yours truly, on YouTube by searching Leigh Dickey TV. That is LEIGHDICKEY TV. So that's it for this week's episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. I appreciate you all for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you all and talk to you all next Friday at midnight Eastern time for another episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. They come out every Friday at midnight Eastern time. Thanks again. We'll talk to you later. Leigh Dickey signing off. Peace. LeightDickey.com